All right, so today we are looking at a match between Sikaras the Ripper and Tyllanii. We're going to look at two matches, uh, and we'll do kind of an in-depth analysis, look at boxes, look at pick ban, and then the actual plays in the game. Just see what's there, see what advice can be given, perhaps what moves were made that were good. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. So we'll start with game one here. All right. So Tyllanii player one, Sikaras player two on Plains of Strife. So first thing to look at, we'll just take a look at boxes really quick. So Tyllanii here, Hilda, Landius, no other tanks, so 2 tank, and 1, 2, 3 healers. So 2 tank, 3 healer it's been kind of the go-to style for a while. However, with the popularity of first ban Rosen, this is actually a very vulnerable box, because if your opponent first bans Rosen, then you now have 2 healers left and you have 2 tanks, which means if you pick one role, you're risking getting the other role banned out. Now, Tyllanii does have a good way to account for this in the Licorice being fairly close to a full healer when she needs to be, Deedwit having some off healing, Jessica having some off healing. So that's why these kind of off healers are very necessary. But that is just something to consider, is that is a potential vulnerability in pick ban. So you just have to be prepared that there might be games where you go healerless, or tankless. You might have to make that choice sometimes, and you need to be sure that your box is able to make that choice. As far as the actual box, it looks like it can probably go healerless without too much issue. Some good single target options, right? Sigma is very likely going to go in and trade, so he doesn't need a healer. Elwyn heals himself. Depending on how this Ares wants to play, healing is not really necessary. So he can support a healerless box. He has the mobility as well in these 3 plus Jess. These 4 together mean that he can also support tankless. So overall, Tyllanii's box looks perfectly reasonable. It's basically very much kind of a meta box. There's a lot of AoE available, right? Kruger, Himiko, Licorice, Reen, potentially Ares. But there's just enough single target in the Elwyn, in the Sigma, in the Deedwit, the Jess, who can flex to AoE. You just don't usually see it. But there's just enough single target where if your opponent tries to spread out too aggressively, you can pick them off at will. So that's kind of been a popular box construction. Yeah, fairly good overall. Let's see, Sikaras' side, 1, 2, 3 tanks. So already that issue of potentially losing healer or tank is addressed by having 3 tanks. Another advantage to 3 tanks, a lot of these single target boxes, this isn't a single target box, but a lot of single target boxes are designed to kill Jugler. So by running 3 tanks, you have Hilda, who they will always ban, and then you have Landius that you can fall back on. So you're always able to fall back on a tank that they aren't prepared to kill, that they don't want to fight. So that's another reason why this 3 tank construction has been increasingly popular recently. But yeah, 3 tank, 3 healer, so he can safely pick a healer if the Rosen gets banned immediately, if he wants to be safe, and then still have the tanks behind it. Then for the actual units in the box, I see a lot of AoE in the Aryan Road, Bozo, Licorice. I believe Kurama is AoE, though I haven't seen a Kurama in months. Himiko, Kruger. Yeah, so a lot of AoE. Zeradus here, very good companion for the dog. Jessica here as the single target threat. So there's not as much single target available in this box, right? There's no Elwyn, notably. to really punish an opponent who spreads out aggressively, especially if your opponent decides to go tankless. So that can be something that you might sometimes run into, is certain people who are prepared to go tankless will just aggressively spread out with these high mobility units, and now these AoEs can struggle sometimes. But the trade-off is that you do have a lot of AoEs to choose from. So you're not very likely to get left in a scenario where you just don't have enough damage, right? You should always have enough damage dealers to pick. Let's see. Overall construction-wise on the box, the Zerida feels out of place. The Zerida's buffing the dog, but you do have Tree Sage for that. Jugler can carry his own buff, though he usually doesn't want to. But the Zerida does feel a little bit out of place. That kind of, an assassin like Zerida isn't going to pressure your opponent to clump up because it doesn't matter. She picks off behind guard anyways. And it doesn't really contribute to your AoE. It can potentially pick off Rosens, I suppose. That's a pretty good reason for Zerida. Though, I wonder if she struggles to get in. If she's exclusively here to pick off Rosens that make it through pick ban, I wonder if she might struggle to actually accomplish that consistently. Yeah, just a thought. Everything else looks fairly reasonable. We know the Kurama is high power, and that would be an excellent reason for him to be in the boxes, because Sikaras has spent a lot of time investing in this Kurama, so he's gonna do good things. Alright, so pick ban. Rosen ban. Obvious. There's no Jugler in this box. You're going AoE. What else are you going to ban? Rosen ban. Also fairly reasonable. The AoE that you do have here, Reen, Kruger, Licorice, is debuff focused. So yeah, Rosen more important to ban than the Jugler. Landius pick. So it's Landius over Hilda here. Hilda buffs the Florin, which is important, but Landius is here for Himiko, here for Reen, or not Reen, here for Sigma. Bleh. Yeah, so I'd expect to see Tyllanii looking to play down Himiko. Play Himiko and go down that line more, maybe Himiko into Ares. Because you don't really want the Licorice anymore. Kruger needs this buff. Okay. Yeah, with this box, I'm not entirely sure which tank is consistently better when you have both options available. I guess it depends more on what you're up against. But Hilda should always live longer than Landius. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what these US units end up being for this Landius. Bans both the Gospels. Again, very reasonable. One thing that he could have done is he could have banned out healers entirely. Leave the Diva up, you leave Gospel, and you leave Sea of Miracles. Florin can struggle against debuffs. You have Forest Priests, and you have 3C and Strategic Regroup are two long cooldown AoEs that do some dispelling, but that's kind of it. So I think I agree with this. I think I agree leaving Florin open over leaving Deedwood open as kind of the last dispelling. Licorice is a concern, but again, with the Landius already here, the Licorice is almost certainly going to have no buffs if it gets picked. Licorice dies very easily to Zerida. So yeah, I think so far I'm on board with this pick ban. Bozel first. Okay, so he has all three of his tanks open. So he goes for Bozel. because he doesn't need to pick a tank. He is running a risk of losing healing, but he does have now a dark buffer and Licorice. So that's not really a risk. Licorice will provide enough healing if that's all he's left with, thanks to having this buff. So yeah, Bozil first is definitely not bad. Makes this Kruger very threatening. Kurama shouldn't... I don't think Kurama's dark. I'd be shocked if he was. So it's really just for these two. So he might just end up getting these two banned. But again, Bozil just by himself is reliably good. Especially if you can slow this team down. US collab strat. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, I had no idea what he was, but I figured he wasn't dark. Bozil is a little bit vulnerable here as a first pick, though. Bozil really is going to shine once this Elwyn Ares especially is gone. Right, these two are picks that can kind of break off from the main group and threaten to run all over you and really pressure this Bozil, keep him from going too far forward to throw out black holes. Himiko, I don't know if Himiko's first pickable. Himiko's safer, but she's also not as game-winning as Bozil. Same thing with Kruger. I don't know if Kruger's first pickable. So, now the Bozil's probably a fairly solid choice here. Maybe Tree Sage could have been good as well, because that shuts down these mobile threats. And then your Bozil is safe, your Himiko's exceptionally safe, your Kruger is safe. But I can't complain too much about a Bozil first. Goodbye Kruger, goodbye Jugler, so that is going to force a tank pick. No AoE tank either. In this box, I'd expect this to be Landius for the US buff here, here, and maybe here. Florin, yeah. He was threatened to lose all his healers against AoE debuffs. He has to pick whatever he has left, but Florin is gonna struggle a bit against this. Bozil's gonna very quickly overwhelm her. Reen takes a seat, and Elwyn. Absolutely agree with the Elwyn. Reen over Ares ban. I guess the question is, do you beat the Reen ever? Jessica can pick him, usually. Zerida is shaky. So you're just relying on AoEing him down. If you get like a heal block on him, then you can. But yeah, I can understand the Reen ban. Just being incredibly durable, throwing out counter AoEs. I am a little bit concerned about Ares mobility, Jessica mobility being an issue. But we'll see what actually happens. There's the Landius pick. Double ban healers. Yep. So he sat too long on Rosenban, ended up losing healers for it. Though he has the Licorice, so he's actually perfectly fine here. I imagine this is just pick Licorice. Gives you another AoE, gives you healing, and you're set from there. It's going to be Himiko over here. Yeah. Himiko's just going to run around being a pest. Sure. Licorice and Tree Sage. Yeah, this feels like a very, very much a setup for a Licorice pick, right? Yes. Getting rid of enemy terrain so that you have complete control of it. Sure. No complaints there. Himiko here. I don't know about this Himiko. Are you going to be doing the damage you want with this Himiko, or were you better off with Ares for your AoE? Ares would one-shot this. Not this, usually. But like, Himiko's not going to kill anything immediately. And you're probably losing the Ares now. Bans out Jess and Zeri. Sure, Zerida. Not so confident in the Zerida ban there. Himiko's not threatened by Zerida. Ares shouldn't be threatened by Zerida. Jess is never threatened by Zerida. Sigma ties Zerida. Kruger gets threatened by him. Or by her. Sigma comes in. Sigma's very good at picking the Bozil, picking the Licorice. Both Licorice is exceptionally easy to assassinate. Bozil's a little bit harder, but Sigma can do it. No worries there, especially with Landius buff. But again, you're gonna run out of damage to back this Himiko up. Yeah, there are some Himikos that can do a lot of damage. We'll see what this Himiko does. Yep, there goes the Ares Jess. You do get Kruger left for you, which is nice, though he doesn't have a buff, correct? Kruger isn't. Is Kruger Yules? He actually very well could be Yules. Yeah, that does give you some extra. You do get the one extra AoE in exchange for the Jess ban. Jess ban might not have been necessary. She's still annoying. Landius isn't going to die to her, usually. No, Kruger only has 2 factions. Ugh. Weird. Landius shouldn't die to Jess anytime soon. But the teleport's still just obnoxious to play around. Giving up a 5th pick Jess feels wrong. And it is going to be Himiko over here. Yep, Himiko beats the Sigma. Shouldn't die to anything else easily. Kruger comes in. This is going to be Kurama every day of the week. Yeah. Last pick Hilda would have been interesting here to get a bunch of Actigans. I don't think that's the right play, though. Because if you last pick Hilda here, Sigma's going to trade at some point. Though he might... Against pure AoE, he might actually get away with his life. But if he doesn't pick Bozil, he's just... No, he has immunity. Sigma might actually live longer than expected. It might not be a complete trade. But Himiko's not going to do the AoE damage on her own, even with a bunch of Actigans. It's really reliant on clocks at that point. So I think Kruger's the right pick here. Even if it does mean you lose tokens. And then this is obvious. So, when all's said and done with pick ban, let me first look at this guy. Yep. Ignores magic defense. Right, he has the permanent fixed damage. That's a thing, isn't it? I seem to remember that being a thing. When attacked by demonic plant, which he didn't bring. Okay, so just a bunch of AoEs in general ranges. Yeah, it's just a bunch of fixed damage, basically. Skeletons won't save you. Yeah, no, skeletons are not helping against anything here. Troops in general aren't really relevant this game. They're only relevant against the Landius, basically. Let's see. Landius here on Templars versus GI. Again, troops don't really matter. Looks like they're both on Blood Pact, though this one's a little bit low on HP, a little bit low on everything, actually. Magic defense is okay, I guess. This looks like Swordsmith. I guess this... Yeah, this feels like Swordsmith. That's Overlord. Okay, so no crazy equips. All right, and skills are all kind of what we'd expect to see as well. Actually, not entirely. Dark Dragon Breath over Feast. I don't know. I kind of like Feast more. Oh, wait a minute. That's not what we expected. All right, this is a skill set. I don't agree with this at all, actually. I think the Sigma needs to be picking off one of these three to help alleviate pressure. This would probably be the best target, with this being the close second to counter Himiko. Yes, you stun her before she goes in, but I don't think Sigma should be worried about countering Himiko. Leave that to the rest of your team. I think Sigma should be worried about getting a kill somewhere to put himself at an advantage. Oh, you do actually kill her. Oh, she doesn't get to do this because she's stunned. I see. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, that definitely makes more sense. So you're essentially exclusively trying to assassinate the Himiko now. Right, you can't realistically expect to hit anyone but the Himiko. Do I agree with Sigma being here exclusively for the Himiko? Not sure about that either. Again, I don't think the Himiko is the most threatening unit here. So I don't think you want your one assassin dedicated just to taking down the Himiko. I think Licorice and Bozel are both more important. But I think I'd still rather see assassination skill here to pick off one of these units. Yes, Sigma can ignore guard in 3 spaces. I don't see any way that Sigma gets in 3 spaces, though, without getting absolutely blasted. You're gonna get hit so hard just trying to get into 3 spaces. I don't know. I'm not comfortable with it. All right. So Kruger's going to move up and infect someone. Who are we choosing? Kurama. I would have said Licorice. Kurama... I mean, this team's probably going to stay mostly together. But I feel like if anyone's branching off, it's probably Kurama. So that's kind of... That's an odd target, I feel. Oh, immediate attack buff. Not that it matters. This actually is already in range, isn't it? Nope, not quite. Ooh, actually, the range on this is... No, it's 3. Okay. Yeah, so it's 3 range on Savage Attack. Everyone buffing. Buffs are coming out early, but also everyone's just kind of full sending it towards the other side of the field, so no concerns there. You probably don't... I don't think you want to hold buff with this kind of positioning. Okay. Don't act again. Don't do it. Rush. Okay, so now you're in range to pick something off. Yeah. So now the Sigma's going to do exactly what he wants to do, which is pick off this Himiko. He is not in range of anything else. Yep, it's all for the Himiko. All in on the Himiko. He's going to die for it. He's absolutely going to die for this. But Himiko is obnoxious. Yeah, one less AoE is one less AoE. I still think he should be targeting one of these two, though. Who's going to kill him? There's an entire turn to hit him. Landius can start hitting him into every single AoE getting dropped as the team tries to move up to cover him. Actually, that's a good point. What Tyllanii should do right now is actually just pull back. Sigma going in at the start of the turn here means that the Sigma is dead. He will die eventually. If Sikaras wants him dead, he will die. The worst thing that you can do right now, in my opinion, is actually move up to try and guard this Sigma, because then you're just bringing your entire team into AoE range. So instead of... Because if Sigma's alone, Sikaras might not choose to AoE him, because those are gonna... He is gonna end up putting himself on cooldown doing so. So he might... You know, this Sigma might actually live if he's alone, whereas if you move up to protect him, he will die. It's a little bit counterintuitive, but the Sigma has a better chance of surviving by himself right now. So we'll see what Tyllanii does here. Yeah, so Himiko's going down. Just kidding, Himiko's not going down. Oh no. Oh, no. What went wrong here? Forest gives a lot of damage to him. Forest plus Landius, yeah. So it's Forest. This is a fairly bulky Himiko. 649 is pretty high. Landius giving the 15% damage reduction. No crit. There was crit. No stinger, but you should be doing similar, if not more damage without stinger in this scenario. I don't think you'd be doing less damage to 649, though Forest might actually mess with that. So yeah, it looks like Forest is actually enough to just completely deny this kill. And it's not like he's dramatically overkilling soldiers or anything. He just misses it by a lot. All right, 15.8k. Huh. Well, that's not good. Checking for double crit. Yeah, soldiers are probably... I feel like soldiers should be guaranteed not to crit here because of Landius aura. Right, that should be a thing. Yeah, no soldier crit. So yeah, the faceless damage was actually... It ended up being pretty low, though these look to be fairly well trained. Maybe not. Just going by the differences here. I wonder if this assassin attack is kind of low. Because they should both have just 20% attack here. But yep, so Sigma misses the kill. Cyborgs certainly would have been better for Savage attack. You would have done much more damage with Cyborgs if you have max Cyborgs. Odd. Alright, so what's going to happen now that Sigma's missed the kill? I imagine Landius is the first to hit him. Nope, Licorice is going to AoE. Who else in range of this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're just hitting Kruger? I don't know. I think this Licorice needs to wait longer. This Licorice is your only source of healing, your only source of dispels. I guess 3-seeing now does... No, 3-seeing now is correct, because you're getting rid of this, and you're going to heal up the Himiko so she doesn't die to a follow-up. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think you do have to 3-see now. That does mean that this Kruger plus Himiko is going to hurt quite a bit here, though. Yeah, no silence. Ouch. This Himiko is still dead, right? Dead to Kruger? Maybe not. I feel like she should be, though. But she gets to throw out an attack of her own, is what's important. Even if she is dead. A lot of mobility -1s. That's some unfortunate RNG. Actually, I think everyone is mobility -1. Yeah, 5 times mobility -1. That's rough. Yep, Himiko gonna go ahead and AoE. We'll see. That might shut the Kruger out. Nah, Kruger's still in range to do everything he wants. Lauren 3C, heal everyone back. It's possible. Yeah, you could do that for sure. Yeah, you probably do that before Kruger goes in, because otherwise you just lose both of these to either of these units. And then Himiko follows. No heal blocks, so it should be Florin AoE. Yep. It's not a lot of healing, though. Bozel's not in range. That's huge. So the even though it was just -1 mobility, it's enough to keep Bozel out. That was a waste. That just didn't do anything. Again, soldiers don't matter this game. Especially no one's anywhere close to hit you with a basic attack. I think you're better off saving your stacks or even doing a rush. Rush here is completely unnecessary. Rush here could get you forward. Rush here might have been the right move then, because there's no guard here. Yeah, Landius could have picked off this Licorice at this point. Does clear a debuff. This is any... Yeah. Yeah, I guess if you're worried about this debuff, but what debuff did you clear? Magic defense down? You don't have a lot of magic defense anyways. If you were trying to get rid of fixed damage, that's... Sure. But yeah, that's still a gamble at best. I think there are better uses for these tokens. That's 3C. Everyone gets bonked. So now, if you have Demonic Seed, you take some fixed damage, and everyone has Demonic Seed. So everyone's going to take 2x int before dealing damage. So Kruger is just barely not dead. Sigma's just barely not dead. So everyone here just barely survives these Kurama hits. After taking action, Kruger, they all are going to die at the end of their turn, though. Ow, ow. Kruger silenced himself. That Black Shear, or that Dark Ward was super greedy. Because you don't actually gain anything at all from it. There was no reason to Dark Ward there. You actually lost. Well, you just lost that. Who cares about that? But you're gonna, for Dark Shielding there, you take Kurama hits, and then you take burn damage, and then you trigger ninjutsu. When all you really needed to do was just walk forward and Everdark. Walk forward, Everdark kills this, and just puts this very low. This will be fine. This will be fine. But yeah, no, you definitely don't want a Dark Ward, because like you'll see Kruger actually loses HP for Dark Warding there. Right. So he's at what, 30-something%? 32. Walk forward, Dark Ward, bonk, bonk. And now he's at 1,000. Even if you didn't get silenced, this is the wrong time to Dark Ward. And now that you're silenced, you just die for it. That's probably... I imagine that's what loses him this game. He's dead no matter what he does. From here, Kruger's dead. Because Kruger is going to just take a bunch of fixed damage. If he backs off, he takes fixed damage and then burns and dies. If he tries to save himself, he just burns and dies. This Kruger's very, very dead. Yeah, if this Demonic Seed here, if this isn't dispelled, he's dead, and he has no way to dispel it. It's a permanent debuff that's not dispellable. Doesn't say it's not dispellable. Oh. Yeah, it's just permanent until it is dispelled. Right. Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. I inserted a not into your statement. That's my bad. But yeah, so this Kruger is incredibly dead right now and should have just thrown out anything that he had at this time. And you would have picked up a kill here. You would have gotten some debuffs, gotten some buff conversions. 60%, not a lot of buff conversions. But instead, this Kruger just dies for nothing. And this is kind of a thing in general. When you have these kind of, when you have these kind of Himiko effects, when there's licorice tiles that you're walking onto, in general, you don't want to act again in that kind of scenario. You want to just, unless your act again is like Elwyn act again, giving you immunity to actually protect you from these things that are coming in, you want to just get as close as you can, throw out whatever you can, rather than, because like, for example, if this Kruger had been, let's see, so here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like if this Kruger was 3 tiles back, and his furthest move is here, or no, if he was here, furthest move to this forest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if all he could reach is this forest, and Everdark would only hit these 3 units, or he could reach the forest, act again, go 2 tiles further, and hit everyone, it's almost always better to just hit from the forest. Because if you advance forward, especially with the Himiko debuff, you're risking a silence here, you're risking a silence here. That's a lot of RNG that has the chance to go against you in exchange for getting, 2 extra hits. Right, a hit on the tank that doesn't matter, and a hit on Bozo that's not going to do much damage. Maybe if this was Himiko standing back here at low health, right, a priority target that you can kill, that you're out of range to, it's worth considering acting again there. But in general, you want to try and avoid taking extra turns when they're just gonna, when there's a chance that they can completely ruin you for doing so. which is exactly what happens here. This Kruger gets ruined for taking an extra turn. Landius gets silenced as well, but he puts up guard, so it doesn't really matter. Passive block here, unfortunate. Ah, Himiko lives it again. And then everyone just dies to Kurama. Yeah, everyone dies to Kurama damage at that point. I think you were probably always dead to Kurama damage, honestly. When that Kurama hit every single one of your DPS units, and then you didn't have a way to kill him because the Sigma was focused so hard on Himiko. Rough. Very rough. And part of that is also having such little dispelling capability on the healer. So you can't actually address the Kurama hitting you. Yep, so that's game 1. And we'll go ahead and jump into game 2. Alright. Same turn order as before. Cape of Sorrow, Juglar's favorite. I did spoil everyone. Sorry. Double Rosen ban. Yeah, sure. Everyone's playing AoE debuffs. Rosen is the one to ban. Ooh, actually, wait a minute. That wasn't there last time. So actually, we did get a slight box change up in the in-between. Landius is out. Juglar is in. That could have been done in response to the map. That could have been done in response to the box. Both of those choices, though, are excellent reasons for this Juglar to show up. There is not an answer. There's Jess. Jess can be an answer, but not against fixed immune lobsters. Never. Yeah, this Juglar is going to be a nuisance when it gets picked here. This is already very rough if you're Sikaras. Because now also, Kurama won you the game last time, but all you have to do is bring GDB on Juglar, or even just jump at the correct time, and that Kurama does nothing at all. Same pick ban, it looks like, so far from Sikaras. Yep, Bozel first. Bozel first, not as good against the Juglar anymore, though. Florin again. Once again, not great against debuffs. But everything else got banned. I 100% agree with prioritizing this Juglar over Leanna or Deedlit. This is the correct play. Absolutely. Against this box, this is absolutely the right choice. It's going to be Licorice and Reen that gets banned. So that means Elwyn's still up for a while longer. You are double Lancer, so you don't care too much. The one concern with Elwyn being around is that your team is forced to clump. So if you give up AoEs, then this Elwyn does become a threat just by his presence on the field. Heal or Licko overflow. Yeah, honestly, probably better against these debuffs. And you hold transform as long as you can. Maybe you just don't even bring transform at all. Maybe there's some 2/2 cost setup that you like more, like maybe shield. Because you have mass shield and mass protect. I'm thinking of protect, not shield, is the one that you'd probably be bringing. Though shield can be good against Bozel sleep if it gets brought. So I almost wonder if just 2/2 cost Licorice that never transforms is a better healer than Flow here. Especially since you have no intention of picking this Hilda. So your stacks are very limited. Hilda pick over here because the Jugler got banned. So going with Hilda over Landius. Where's your Tensei? Here. That's going to get banned, though. I don't think that's the play. I think you still go Landius. Landius didn't do anything last game, but Hilda's going to do less. So you go Landius to have a buff here, have a buff here. Make it so Tree Sage doesn't have to bring his buff. Yep, goodbye, Flo. Arian Road is Tensei. Arian Road is Tensei, Liko is Tensei. Okay, yeah. Liko, though, already has Dark buff. Bozil absolutely wants to bring his buff. Unless Tree Sage gets picked. Arian Road is a good reason, though. But Arian Road into Jugor is not a good pick. I still don't agree with this Hilda. A pure damage AoE into a Jugor is always going to go badly for you. Because the Jugler is just going to position himself to always eat the AoE along with his team, and you're just not going to get any damage through. Jessica. Don't let him have Elwyn. Good. Okay, Himiko gets banned as well. Still scared of this Ares. Kind of scared of the Sigma as well. Though the Sigma doesn't kill your Himiko. Kind of. Doesn't kill on Forest, so it will kill here. Liko gets picked. So if you were going to pick Liko, you didn't need Hilda buff because you have Bozil buff. And Liko wants Bozil buff over Hilda buff as well. Hilda buff does nothing for you. Ares. Yep, there it is. So now, between Jessica's single target and Ares' AoE, this team doesn't want to spread out because it gets picked by Jessica, but it doesn't want to clump because it dies to Ares, right? Licorice is dead to Ares. Kruger probably dead to Ares. Swordsmith Kurama might live it. Arian Road should live it. Tree Sage doesn't really care, but that's still... Just losing Licorice to Ares is already going to be very, very bad for you. Because you lose Licorice as your healer, and then the rest of your team also takes a bunch of damage at the same time. That's definitely a rough position to be in. You would have had to leave Himiko in order to ban the Ares, but I think that's better. I think that's better for you. There's no buff for the Himiko, so she's not as intimidating. She's not going to one-shot anything without buff, whereas Ares can. And you can address Himiko debuffs with the Licorice. Whereas if Ares picks off your Licorice, then you have no way to answer him anymore. You don't have no way to answer the rest of the team, rather. Especially if there's a Kruger sitting behind. Yeah, Kruger should be dead to Ares. I guess it depends on the Kruger, but... Kurama. Kurama's going to be much more underwhelming without the Landius buff. So I really think Landius over Hilda here would be great. Just because it would buff the Kurama. Because I don't think you gain any... I don't think this box gains a lot by having Hilda buff. Right, it's just the Arian Road. But if you're... First off, Hilda buff, the bonus effect is not useful for Arian Road at all. And if your opponent is scared of a buffed Arian Road, when you pick Hilda, they can just ban it. Right, if this is your only thing that's Tensei that your opponent's ever going to care about, then they'll just ban it when you start going down a Tensei line. So I think this box is much stronger with a Landius instead of a Hilda. But yeah, I have a feeling this Licorice is going to die very early, and then Kruger is going to take over the game. And Jessica's going to make sure that no one gets out of line. Acid Burns. Okay, didn't know he had Acid Burns. That's actually a pretty good answer to the Jugler. Swordsmith. Never mind. This Ares is not a relevant unit. I guess you have the Florin. Alright, it's justified. My personal opinion is still Ares buff is bad, but I can see why you would bring it here. I still don't think it's good though. But that's just me. Yeah, especially his first player. Kata makes a good point in chat. As first player, act again spam. If you act again on the first turn, then on what, the fourth turn. On the fourth turn, you're ready to start taking advantage of having this buff. But that's a long time to just kind of... That's a long time to just sit there where this buff isn't really helpful other than that. Right, Jess can bring strengthened with no issue. She brought Holy Light, but this skill could easily be strengthened. Holy Light's kind of Strengthen would also give you a buff here. You could have even had Florin bring Mass Attack if you really wanted, though then you're definitely low on the spells, so you probably don't do that. Yeah, I don't think this buff was necessary. Because again, AoE Ares just kills this Licorice, and then Kruger wins the game pretty quickly. Especially with the dog jump there as well. Right, once the Licorice is dead, everyone's taking a bunch of damage, Jugler jumps, and then things just start to die. No sleep. Yeah, you needed the buff. Did you need double AoE? Maybe. I'd be tempted not to bring buff on this Hilda. There is a Jess, though. You do need to live somewhat, but honestly, your Molders, Thorns, Blood Pact, this Jess doesn't want to attack you. Buff or no buff isn't going to make a difference. Jess wants to stay away. I'd be tempted to bring Rout here. Just stun this dog at some point. Maybe something relevant happens off of it, because I don't think the buff's going to do anything. But here it is. Bozel. Bozel's a good target. Bozel's better than the Kurama, target-wise. I still wonder if Licorice is the better one, though. This target, I would have liked to see on Jess. Maybe Florin, but I think Jess the most. Because Jess, by necessity, is going to end up near her team eventually when she wants to teleport. Though, no, it's not super great on Jess because you can just kind of hide in the back for a while. Burn through quite a few turns. Kurama transforms. Kurama's transform does not last very long to be used right now. Although it cools off pretty quick because of plant manipulation. Ooh, Kurama can't stand in the swamp though. That's awkward. That's actually rough positioning-wise. This transform might be a little bit early, though. I think this could have safely waited at least another turn. Because your opponent's not really... The Jugler's kind of positioned aggressively, but the Kruger's not in a position to follow up if the Jugler goes in. Jess could go in with him, but you have a whole Hilda here. You should be fine. As long as you don't let the dog lock down your Hilda, which he's nowhere close to doing right now. So yeah, I think this could have waited a turn. Guess I should be doing this. Licorice transform. Licorice transforms now. This is definitely early. This Licorice is your only healer, and there's no... The only reason to transform is to make buff last a little bit longer, but you're already saving buff until after she moves. Right? There's not really any pressure for this Licorice to transform quickly. You can always just transform right before you 3C. So I think this Licorice could have held on to transform for a while. Unless you're specifically looking for this tenuous breeze. Which you did get. So, that's nice. I'm only doing this one, KO, yeah. This is game 2. And I started an hour ago. So yeah, just this one. Wow. Licorice transform pays off, huh? But again, these two don't want to go in. Bozel's safer. Because Jess is the way to punish, but... Yikes. I guess you're avoiding spreading evil. That's not good, though. This Bozel needed to be one tile further away from where he is. Because now there's a threat of dog jump locking him down. And then what do you do about that? Right, you're either going to lose your Bozel to Jugler for nothing, or you have to overcommit in order to protect him, and then you just get blasted by AoEs. Kruger just going to burn through evil turns, though. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. If this was an intentional positioning, then I don't agree with it. If this was an accident, you're going to get punished for it, right? This dog just jumps and locks down the two of them. Ares can follow up, kind of. Ares can follow up on whoever tries to punish this. Jess can definitely follow up. You're going to lose some things here. Because this Jugler's not going down anytime soon. That's not far enough. Why are you not here? What are you scared of? Licorice can't even hit you, even though she would do a lot because you brought steel mains. That's another thing. Why are there steel mains here? What do those soldiers do? I think lobsters are just completely better in this scenario. I don't think steel mains do a lot here. They just died to Licorice. Hilda can ram, not this turn. Hilda can ram next turn, but Jess can teleport in and take it. Take her choice of picks. And then Hilda rams and Jess just moves back to guard or takes another pick, depending on if these are able to get into guard. And if Hilda rams, you can also just move the Jugler back forward. And, well, you'd have to get a Dispel on him first. But you can still, if you can get a Dispel on him to get rid of the mobility down, then you can just move back forward and B-Shock someone else. Right, B-Shock lock down the Hilda and, like, kill the Bozel. Yeah, I mean, there's no sleep. Acid burns just on Jugler isn't really relevant. I think this jump should be here, and then you just start picking things. Right, Kurama gave you trouble last game, maybe pick him off, maybe pick the Licorice off, and then you're in a great spot. Tenuous Breeze refreshes. Oh, that's a single target skill. What? Huh. But again, with where you jump, this Kurama can reach you anyway, so when you made this jump, you were prepared for Kurama to hit you. So why not jump in the better position? I guess you might have died to Licorice AoE into Kurama single target at that point. No, you wouldn't have, because Jess would have healed you up. Right, you take a little... You don't even take damage. No, you take damage from this. And again, because it's Steel Mains, you take too much. Jess won't actually heal this. If this were Lobsters, this jump would be much, much stronger. But actually, with Steel Mains, you can't jump here. Because you will just die to... You'll die to Dark Despair into this demonic plant. So again, I asked the question, why are there Steel Mains here? Steel Mains are typically the soldiers that you bring when there's strong physical damage. They're not the best against magic, though. And especially when you know that you're against a holy unit. That's just going to tear through these. Yeah, physical single target, other than Elwyn, is kind of the best scenario for Steel Mains. Which is not at all what's here. It's all magic damage. So these should be Lobsters. Act again on the Ares. So that he can go hit the Hilda. Right, there's also plenty of water, so you don't even have to worry about your water getting dispelled, because you'll always be in water almost. Right, you can almost always guarantee that you're in water. Oh, this actually does count for his tile. Weird. So swamps count for Kurama tiles, but depths do not. I don't understand this character. Whatever. The transform puts him in grass. All terrain is grassland. Okay. Again, it's been months since I've seen a Kurama. My bad. Alright. AoE comes out, bonks the Kurama a little bit. More importantly, just healing the Jugler. Not to full, though. And Ares gets the act again. You don't want to act again, Jess, because you're just hitting a Hilda, and... God, Jess does not want to hit this Hilda. But what is Faction Buff Ares going to do here? Is he going to 3C in and move some people around? You can pull the Hilda forward. I got the clock. That felt like a... That very much felt like a, well, my Bozel has nothing else to do this turn kind of AoE. Right, not really a super meaningful AoE damage-wise, or... debuffs are okay, I guess, on Jugler. Defense down to reduce his conversion damage. You did roll mobility down, which is fantastic. And then you got the clock, so never punished, I suppose. I don't know. If you don't know that you're getting the clock there, though, I think that Earthquake is wrong. I think you're probably just better off having the Bozel just chill here. Because you can't move up, or else you are susceptible to Ares, but also is this Ares going to kill you? Blah. faction buff Ares into a Bozal with crystals, and Ares brought angels, I doubt it. It's like if you had sleep, you could probably sleep the Jugler, and that'd be pretty nice. But yeah, that was definitely a cross your fingers and pray for clock, or else you're in a lot of trouble kind of move. So, probably not the best. It just worked out this time. Ares is going to hit everyone. Yep, he kills Molders. And then he moves everyone around. I guess you were going to 5 tokens anyway, so you might as well act again. But honestly, what did this do? It could force Licorice to 3C at the start of the turn, I guess, except Kruger's already used his AoE, so he can't get close. Jess can now hit the Hilda, yeah. But you gave up turn priority for this. I don't think this was worth turn priority. I guess you have an act again next turn. It's like you're going to try and get value on the act again next turn. But I almost would have rathered act again Kruger and then just try and reposition to get in range for an AoE next turn over act again Ares to just kind of tickle the enemy team. Ares goes up, that's the correct place to go. Licorice AoE comes out. And now everyone's back to full health with no real consequences from that Ares attack. This Jugler's in a lot of trouble as well. Heal block now as well. This Jugler should just be dead before long. Kurama probably... Well, no, anyone should... Kurama should kill this Jugler from here. Goes for Ares. Nah, that's not... And Kurama untransforms for it. I think this Ares is so incredibly non-threatening that you should just be ignoring it as long as you can. I think you're better off, like... Can Hilda move, though? I don't think Hilda can move, right? TP, here, 4 range, kill the Kurama. No, Hilda can't move is the issue. Well, Bozal, though. Bozal could throw a black hole and splash onto Kruger. Bozal could basic attack and kill. You could trade Kurama for it. Right, Bozal should be fine against the Jess. I've seen Jess do crazy things, though, so that's why I say should. Killing Ares means that there can't be any double turn shenanigans, but killing... No, Jugler has acted. Yeah, Liko tiles are going to help you a lot against this Jess as well. Though she can come here, but then she can't get anywhere. Yeah, I think you just need to go in on this Jugler. It's almost certain... If you do it with Kurama, it's a trade, because Jess teleports here and then picks you off. If you do it with Bozal, it's just completely free. Because, I mean, what's going to kill the Bozal? There's a heal block, though, so you're not exactly pressured to do that immediately. Whereas the Ares can get away, except he can't, because you have a tenuous breeze still. They can run and heal a little bit, and that might save them, because Angels. And I can... Yeah, I can see why you go for the Ares here. I'm just... the Ares is so low threat. Even with 3C, all he did to your Hilda was basically just kill soldiers, which is almost completely irrelevant. It's going to be a long time before he's back and active again. I guess this does let you wait to try and get more units into any AoEs you do. So like now Black Hole hits these two instead of just Kruger. And that is the last act again, we'll see. Because there is no more Ares buff. Silence the Kruger, very nice. In comes Jess. This... There's no way, right? Damn. Damn. Wow. Damage taken plus 10. I guess Crystal Warlock's not very good against magic. Damn. That's gotta hurt. And see, because Kurama went and killed the Ares, the Juglar lives. Why did it not show the effective arrows? It didn't? Didn't. Why didn't it? That is effective damage. No, I think that's just a bug. Yeah, it's effective damage. I don't know. But yeah, if this Kurama hadn't taken his turn killing Ares, then there would still be something to threaten this Juglar. But now this Juglar is going to live. Kurama's not going to kill him. Kruger... He's just going to back out of Kruger range. He's going to back out of Licorice range as well. And this Juglar is going to get healed to full. I guess you had one chance there where you could have hit. Yeah, you could have hit the Juglar once. Licorice is probably Licorice debuffs. It's probably still Licorice to do it though, just because of the transform damage ups. Midnight Feast doesn't. Yeah, 10% up there. Maybe it's Kruger. Although, what, this is 4-star Kruger? I don't know. But one of these could have hit... They died at Jess then. Yeah, see... If you let the Juglar get away, then with what you have left, you should never win this game. Right? You should never win when this Juglar escapes. But if you trade for the Juglar at this point... Yeesh. That's why this Juglar needed to die last turn. Because now you're in a really bad scenario if you trade. Wouldn't have moved Kurama yet. What's Kurama even doing from here? Kurama could have thrown a heal block onto just the Jess, but breaks Sorks at the very least. And then Kurama just gets absolutely slaughtered. Yeah, that's not really worth it. Yeah, Kurama could have waited a little bit to try and get this Hilda to push up so that he could move forward safely. Though he doesn't want to stand on the swamps. But yep, Jugler gets away. And that's it. That's the point where the game's over. Because now it's heal Jugler, troop heal Jugler. Maybe even just rush here. Troop heal there instead of rush, just in case the silence doesn't get removed, which it doesn't. But yeah, this Jugler is unkillable. Your Kurama already tried with Demonic Plant and failed. So now your best bet is to reset and try again, but you're just gonna fail again. You would need some absurd heal blocks with Kruger to pull this game out at this point. And you just didn't get it. Back up he goes. Everything's on cooldown. Rush onto the unbuffable Kruger. Yikes. Dispels the unbuffable. Kruger's still silenced. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to hold center for the rest of the game. 6 turns left. There's actually Jugler jump is going to reset before too long. There actually isn't water right now. I don't think that matters for Kurama damage, though. Not with Steel Mains. There's no extra damage reduction coming from being in water. Kruger's gonna bonk your team. You'll heal it off, but... unless there's a silence there. Ouch. That's why people run Bracer here. Yeah, now there's no healing. Heal block here. Yikes. Heal block here as well. Heal block silence. Yep. Kruger's gonna reset his 3C, but it just doesn't matter at this point. My animations are still on. Enjoy. Hilda doesn't die. Hilda never dies. Acid Burn's not bad. It's just gonna get dispelled, but... yeah, and there should be no scenario where you ever get to throw that Acid Burns and then hit him with Kruger. It's just not gonna happen. Oh, there's the lock on the Hilda. And Licorice dies. And then... what? Kurama dies? It's just gonna move back up. Well, I guess moving up doesn't do anything for him. 3C, not quite available yet. But yeah, you're just gonna get hit with this. You now don't have a healer, so this is all permanent damage. Whereas there's lots of healing on the other side. Silence the wrong target. Hilda's gonna... oh, thorns. That's gonna hurt, but not enough health for it to kill. Jess is gonna go down, but you're just taking a whole bunch of damage you can't afford to take. There's actually no guard here. Or no, there was guard. There was just still Beast Shock. Right, there was still Beast Shock effect, so Jugler could still just hit for free. And Steel Mains are more than enough damage to kill there. Even if Jugler himself is out of water, so he's not hitting very hard, Steel Mains will easily kill. So yeah, this game is very much over at this point. And the place where it all went wrong. No, that's still... is just when this Jugler didn't get punished. This Jugler is Tyllanii's way to win this game. By this Jugler just existing. And shutting out all of your damage. Ares was definitely not a threat. Not the one to prioritize with your strongest remaining single target. Because yeah, you just end up losing to the Jugler eventually. If you had had one more turn of transforms, like one thing I mentioned at the very beginning was the transform was probably a turn early. First off, did that end up being the case? Was the transform unused for a turn? It actually wasn't. It wasn't unused because there was a Tenuous Breeze. So both turns were relevant. Yeah, and that's the entire reason that you even had the opportunity to kill this Jugler, is because transform was on turn 1. But this Jugler very much needed to die. Could not afford to let him get away like that. Because he just gets away and resets, and then there's not any damage. This kill was unfortunate. You don't know if Kurama kills? Really? You think he's gonna miss? He's not gonna do 7,500? There's soldier attack minus 30% is rough. I don't know. There's not a lot of health here left. Did you have a chance to hit him while there was this magic defense down as well? Yeah. So at the start of this turn, Jugler's here. This AoE is correct. So this AoE is correct. This one is not. I think this is not the AoE to throw out. I think just going in and hitting just go in, hit the Jugler, trade your Kurama for the Jessica, and then play it from there. And I think you're in a much better spot. Because then Hilda moves forward, just sets up guard. You still have the Licorice around for healing. And the Jess should not be able to safely get through you at that point. Because she has to get through 2 lives. And I don't think she's ever going to do it. None of the rest should be able to threaten you out. If you get silenced on the Licorice, you are probably still dead. That's why people run Bracer Lico, if they can. But I think that's a much better position to be in, rather than Kurama killing the Ares or Kruger AoEing here. I think Kurama attacking the Jugler is definitely correct. Yeah, these were some good games, though. These were definitely some good games. They were very close. So I'm glad that I just randomly happened to pick such a good set. Definitely interesting. But that is going to be it for tonight. I didn't watch these games beforehand, Kata. So this was the first time that I had seen them as well. But that is going to be it for tonight. So hopefully, feel like you learned something, or at the very least just had fun listening. So until next time, see ya.